Hey everybody, this is a bit of a different video. We are going to be discussing the mob vote, and it's kind of all the information we already have, but I'm just putting it all together. There's also a bunch of questions that I have, and I kind of want to just get off my chest and see if any of you guys had the same questions. There's a few things. I've got little booths for each mob, and then an overall question. This is more of a discussion video, and mostly it's just because I have a lot of questions for some of the mobs. So the crab was the first one to be announced, and the gist of it is the crab claw. So obviously we don't have it, so I'm just going to use shears as a demonstration tool. It's supposed to be able to place blocks at a distance. So I think now, what's our distance now? 1, 2, 3, 4. So about 5 blocks, 4 or 5 blocks. We don't know how much the distance will change. So is it going to be double the distance? So if we have the crab claw, is going to be double the distance that we're able to place? Probably not, because 10 blocks is quite far. I don't think we can see that within range. Is it going to just extend by a couple blocks? So we're not sure about that. We also don't have confirmation if we can break blocks. Now, thinking about this, obviously placing blocks is most helpful. However, it could cause issues that if you wanted to place roof blocks up high and you are not able to break them, so if you're able to place it up high but you cannot break the block, it could cause some problems with making mistakes and it just being a lot more irritating and kind of just causing the same problem where you have to scaffold up to break the block anyway. This could not be the issue. This could not be the case. Again, this is just more of questioning. We also don't know if it degrades. So obviously shears have a health bar, and so do all the other tools. Will the crab claw have a health bar, or will it just be a infinite loop item? We're not sure. So if it does degrade, will there be opportunities for enchantments like unbreaking or mending? Again, we're not sure. Also, how does it equip? This one is the main question that people seem to have with it. The conclusion that most people have kind of come to with how is it equipped is to go on the offhand. However, this has caused issues with some of the builders, as this is meant to be a building tool, but most builders have their blocks in their offhand and then carry a tool in their beforehand so that they can place and break. Having the crab claw in the offhand could cause a lot of problems with, again, it's not too big of a deal, but it will be a very different change that we're not sure if people will like. Again, we're not too sure about how it's going to be equipped. People are also unsure if it's going to be equipped like in the armor slots, but I think that's the least likely. The best option for what it would be is it's just to be a passive item, so you can carry it anywhere in your inventory and it just passively allows it. But I don't think that will be the case. I think the most likely conclusion is to have it in the offhand. There also hasn't been any confirmation on how to acquire this. So the general consensus is you will have to kill the crab in order to drop it, but we have also seen that crabs in real life do shed their claws, so it could be something like that. So like the turtles shed their scales in order to get it. So again, we're not 100% sure how to acquire. We can assume that you have to kill the crab in order to get the claw, but it can't be confirmed. Now, one of the issues that people have had, or that I've seen, is the swamp and mangrove forest. It does already have some diversity, and not just diversity, it has recent diversity with the frogs that have been added not too long ago. And I think that's not a point to negative it or to positive it, but it's just a point. So we've already got some mobs in the mangrove and swamp, which again is not a bad thing. We can always have more mobs, but it is just a point to make. Another thing the crab does do is it is supposed to crawl vertical walls, which I would have put on here, but I don't see it as too much of a necessary thing to put on the list, as it's just a feature of the mob. But yeah, that seems to be the whole crab. So the main thing is that you'll get a crab claw that you can place blocks at distance, and it's meant to be a building tool. However, we have seen a lot of builders, or the main builders in Minecraft, have questions about how it's going to be used. It could be really good. It could be not as good, it could be not used. We're not sure. We're not sure if it degrades, or how to equip. We have kind of came to the assumption that it's going to be an offhand tool, but again, not 100% sure. And we're not sure if you can enchant it, but that would go through the degradation. If it degrades, can you enchant it? We're not sure. Okay, the next mob that was announced was the armadillo. So far, from what I've seen on the internet, this has been the most liked mob. But all of these mobs are really, really close in all the unofficial polls I've seen. So the main gist of the armadillo is you get an armor for your dogs. That is the selling point, and that is what a lot of people like about it. We, again, just like the crab claw, will it degrade? We don't know if it's a degradation thing, we don't know if it's a permanent thing. We can assume it degrades, but then it comes to another thing, can it be taken off? When you put a saddle on a pig, for example, you cannot get that saddle off unless you kill the pig. So will it be a thing of if you put the armor on the wolf, it's permanently got armor? Or can we take it off at, like a horse armor? We're not sure. So that will be something that we'll see if the armadillo is chosen or when we get more information. Another question that I have kind of thought of is the armor trim or dye. We know we can dye collars in the dogs. If we have the armor and we put it on the dog, will it cover the collar? Or if we have the armor and we put it on the dog, will it cover the collar so you can't see it? Or will it have cut out where you can see the collar? With this being in mind, if you have two dogs and you put armor on both dogs, can you tell them apart? Again, not sure. I think it would be cool if we could dye the armor, but I'm not sure how it's going to look, so that will move on to the next point. How will it look? Will it be an ugly armor? Will it be something you put on your dog and realize, like, maybe we shouldn't have voted for the armadillo? We're not sure. We don't know if it's going to be a cute armor or if it's going to be ugly. And with that in mind, if it had armor trim, could we make it cuter? If the armor trim is added onto it, will that make a future reference to have armor trims on horse armor? Again, we're not sure. With the degradation, which I'm assuming it can do, can you enchant it? Or will it be just like horse armor where you can't enchant? And how will the protection be? Will it be an iron protection, a diamond protection, netherite? We're not sure. Will the protection be worth it to get? If you go out of your way to find the armadillo, finally get the scoots, and craft up the armor, will it be worth it for the protection? Or is it going to be like leather armor where it really doesn't do anything at all? The main point that I have for the armadillo is the savanna diversity. Nobody goes to the savanna. We have also not got confirmation that it won't be in other warm biomes, as I think it was mentioned that it will be found in warm biomes. I think, however, it's mainly just the savanna it's going to be found in, but we don't have a mob dedicated to the savanna. We have a mob dedicated to the jungle, we have mobs dedicated to the desert, we have mobs dedicated to the ocean. We do not have one dedicated to savanna, so I think that's a very interesting point to make, that the armadillo will be able to occupy or populate the savanna. It's also good because the savanna is a biome that people don't necessarily sort out for. It's not a very pretty biome, I'll give it that, but having a mob where it allows players to have a reason to go to the savanna, I think could be really interesting. And the scoot collection, we're also not sure about. So much like the crab claw about shedding, we aren't sure about how the scoots will be collected. However, I will assume that because they are scoots, I'm going to guess they're going to be like the turtle scoots, where they will just be shed at random times from the armadillo. However, it could be one of murder, where we have to kill the animal in order to get the scoots. One of the other points is it will look like a block, or it could look like a block. It can hide in a block. Not much of a point, but kind of cute. I think that looks cool. We've got shulker boxes, which are block mobs, but we don't have many block mobs. So I think that could be cute. But that's the main points for the armadillo is it's got armor for dog. We don't know if it degrades. We don't know if we can take it off, which I think is a very important issue to point out, is if it cannot be taken off, would people want it? Because if it doesn't degrade and it can't be taken off, you will have to kill your dog in order to get it off, and you don't want to do that. Or if it does degrade, you'll just have to wait for it to degrade enough and heal your dog up so it doesn't die until it breaks. We aren't sure about the armor trims or how it will look like, and we're not sure if we can enchant it or the level of protection it will give. But that's the main points of the armadillo. The next mob is the penguin. So this is the one a lot of people are liking because penguins are cute, and I do stand for that. That they are cute. Penguins, the main point is it makes jet boats. Boats will go fast, and that's kind of cool. But one of the things we have to ask is, will the jet boats or the faster boats be useful in smaller areas? I think depending on how fast they are, if they are as fast as ice, for example, I feel like having the boat in a small area like a river or even just a small ocean, it wouldn't be as helpful because you'll just crash around everywhere. And how easy will it be to navigate? Will it be like ice and turning is really difficult, or will it have a different mechanic? We're also not sure if the penguins will swim alongside the boats or if they will just give the booster and then you just be on with it. I would assume they swim alongside boats, much like dolphins swim alongside people with dolphins' grace, but we're not sure. It's just a point to make. I think that the jet boats or the faster boats would be very cool mini game ideas. So that could be an option that people will make. We have ice road makers or ice boat races, but having a proper boat race I think could be interesting. Now, one of the main points that people make is the diversity of an ocean. I won't lie to you, we do have a lot of diversity in our oceans, more than a jungle, which is not necessarily strange, but it is different as jungles are diverse in real life, but in Minecraft we don't really have many options in the jungle. But the ocean, we have loads. We have loads of different types of fish. We have the dolphins, and if we have penguins, then we have penguins, we have turtles. We just have a lot. So that's the main point that a lot of people are making, is they'd rather have a new mob in a different area than a new mob in an area we already have a lot of reason to go to. I also want to bring up the clumsy animation. So in the snippet when they announced the penguin, they also said that penguins are clumsy on land. I just wanted to note that it's probably going to be the same animation or a similar animation to the pandas when they roll. Not really anything to plus or minus the penguin, but just a note. Now, thinking further into the boats, I have kind of came across a few issues. So the travel potential is there, but we already have a lot of travel options in Minecraft. So we have minecarts, which are not great, but Mojang seems to keep updating boats instead of updating Minecrafts or minecarts. So the travel potential is there. It could be fast, could be cool, especially on the roof of the Nether. But again, you can't even use that on the roof of the Nether because you can't use water. With that being said, will they nerf ice boats? So if the penguin grace or the penguin speed is just as fast as the ice boat, will they nerf ice boats? Will they stop making ice boats a thing? Another point that I thought about was the penguin AI. So dolphins AI have a notoriously bad AI, and their pathfinding isn't great. They often just run into things and die. They're not great. Will the penguins be similar to that? Like, will they be a mob that's annoying? And will people exploit them to make mini games? I'm not sure, because people exploit dolphins in order to make fast racetracks, and they just put it in a little box. And eventually the dolphins will probably die because their AI is very bad. Will penguins be the same? Will they be exploited? We're not sure. And we won't know until they're added, or if they're not added. The main point that a lot of people make as well is the cuteness factor. I do agree, penguins are cute. It would be something cute to be in the game. But does the cuteness factor negate all of the other points? Maybe. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's not me to say. But those are the three mobs that they did for the mob vote. And so that's the crab, the armadillo, and the penguin. All of them at the moment on the unofficial polls seem to be very close together. Honestly, in my opinion, I wouldn't mind any of them. I don't think I'd be mad if any one of them joined. I think I'm more leaning towards the armadillo just because wolves have not changed in such a long time, and it's good to finally have a change for the dogs. But I can't say that it'll be a good change or a bad change. Now, we go over to the overall standings or the overall points that I've kind of picked out for all of these. We will not know how useful the mob is or the stuff it brings to the table until they're added. It happens with all the mobs. We thought phantoms were really cool and then they were added and they weren't. Glow squids, not many people really thought was cool, but it was added. But it is actually useful. I've used the glow squid on all of these signs. But we don't know if they're going to be useful or not until they're added into the game. And once that new thing excitement wears off, so there's always a new thing excitement for a lot of the stuff in Minecraft. Once it wears off, people will either continue liking it or it will just go downhill and people won't like it anymore. That goes in with long term likability. Will it be something that after it's added to the game, will it continue to be liked throughout the community in Minecraft, or will it not be? For example, one of the long term likabilities I've kind of come across was the goat horn. So the goat horn was something when it was added, a lot of people didn't really like, or not like, they just didn't understand it. Once people started to understand it, they liked it a lot more, and it's kind of become a collection. And a lot of players go out to collect it, which is great. I'm glad we have the goat horn. I think it's a cool item. Are the items going to be added from the armadillo and the crab? Are they going to be just as cool or not so much? Like, for example, the spyglass. Will they be used for an intended purpose? The spyglass doesn't really often get used for its purpose, which is to look far, and that's because most of the people that use it have Optifine zoom and can just zoom in whenever they want. So the spyglass isn't as helpful as it could be. However, it is still used mostly for comedic purposes, and it's not bad. It's not a bad item, but will all of these be used for the intended purpose, or will people get crab claws because they like crab claws? And one of the things for the penguin, because obviously most of those points were towards items, and the penguin isn't bringing an item to the game, it would be bringing an effect. Is the boat speed worth it long term? Is it better or worse than the ice road? And what I'm kind of saying for that is it something that once the penguins are gone, are people still going to be using that boat speed, or will it just be oh, okay, I've got it? Because Dolphin's Grace is helpful because if people want to swim down to shipwrecks, it's great. But boat speed, it's kind of getting from one place to another. Once people have elytras in game, boats don't get used as often, which is a fact with all of the transportation systems actually. None of them get used as often, and all of these are just things that we have to think about. And yeah, the main thing, will the mobs be a dying trend? We won't know until they add it. We won't know if crabs will be lasting forever and people will love it and love it, just like bees, and make farms and use them all the time. We don't know if the armadillo is going to be sought out like sniffers. We don't know if the penguins are going to be like dolphins and used for loads of mini games. We won't know if it's a long-term project that players will come around and look for all of these mobs and love it because they've been added. Or is it going to be, oh, I guess we've got armadillos now. Great. They don't really help with anything. Like the polar bears. The overall point that I'm trying to make is we don't know anything about these mobs. We don't have a lot of information. We have very basic information. And it could be a fact where we add these, or we add a mob, we add the penguin, for example, and everybody hates it. Any one of these mobs that are added, there's going to be a group of people that hate it. It's just a way of life. We don't know if it's going to be helpful, and we don't know if one of the other ones would be more helpful because they won't be added. But yeah, I know it was kind of a weird video, kind of a short video, but I wanted to just put my 2 cents in for the mob vote. Mostly because I had a lot of questions and I just wanted to get it off my chest. Some of the things that people might not have thought about, and also it's hard to find all the information on the mob vote in one spot. So I wanted to put all the information that I knew just in one spot. So if people have come across this video, welcome. Now they know a bit more about the mob vote and have more questions. And it's always good to be curious. So yeah, also none of these mobs I'm negating and saying that you shouldn't vote for. Vote for whichever one you want. If you want to vote for the penguin because you think it's cute, vote for the penguin because you think it's cute. You don't have to justify yourself. Because honestly, I think all of these mobs would be a cool addition. I wish we could add all of them, but obviously we're not. I think the crab could be a cool addition. I think armadillo, I think penguin. Any one of these would be a cool addition. I'd prefer the armadillo over all of them, just my personal opinion, but I don't have an issue with any of the mobs. But yeah, that's basically all for the mob vote. I'm be curious to see what happens on October 13th. I'll be on the edge of my seat waiting to see how it pans out, and I'm sure everybody else will too. So, with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!